Scrimbly Scrombus, welcome to the Posscast.
Welcome to our sewer.
Yes, this is our lair. We got a vampire flap in the back. We have to bring him cringe, or else he gets upset and starts terrorizing the kingdom.
Yeah, such is our burden.
Yes, we're the only thing stopping.
It's our punishment for our various crimes.
Yes, mostly hubris, but also arson.
Grand larceny.
Yeah. We ran as the group of called the Great Larcenist Arsonists. Yeah, we committed grand larceny.
We committed grand arson.
Yeah. Grand arson. What would that even look like? Probably a gender reveal party. Anywho.
Boom.
Yeah, we got...
I know that didn't really pick up on Discord.
Yeah, the first one didn't, because your noise suppression.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So, we got some stories today. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I can start.
Alright.
Hold on, I'm just, I like to have a little pop out of my little talk sprite on screen.
Makes sense.
So I'm just getting the window set.
Yeah.
I don't want too much border.
God. Man, allergies
there we go.
Are killing me.
Oh god, don't I know, it's fucking with my eye.
I live in a place with a lot of cedar trees.
Yeah, I believe mine is various grass pollens.
That's probably mine as well. But also cedar, fucking hate
that.
Yeah,
it doesn't like stuff me up or make my nose runny or make me cough or anything. It just really, really, really irritates my eyes, mostly my left one.
Exactly. Alright,
yeah.
So, who's going first?
I will.
Alright, hit us.
Alright, we have, from user Marcus_Crow posted 4 days ago with 52 upvotes at time of having the tab open.
Yeah.
Edge runners go from budding heroes to NC's most wanted. For a bit of context, this isn't so much a horror story in that no one's really upset or bothered by the turn of events, but rather that the entire premise of the campaign has changed due to rampant murder hoboism. A bit more of context. This campaign takes place in Cyberpunk Red, a bit of a departure from the usual fantasy setting you see in the sub. It takes place primarily in Pacifica. Note that at this time, Pacifica is basically the entertainment district, and in pretty good shape despite the nuke. The main cast of the story are Storm, the exotic fixer, Black Reaper, the over-the-top solo, Rinko, the chaotic Russian nomad, Longshot, the dad of the group, and Solar Sniper/solo, and Danny DeVito, the poser/genetic experiment solo. It's a long story.
I'm down with Danny DeVito.
Alright, so we've got someone who's a clone of Danny DeVito.
Dude, that sounds awesome. I would definitely watch a movie where Danny DeVito plays a clone of himself in the distant future.
Our story begins when the party, already a few gigs under their belt, have to help save Rinko's clan leader from an attack by a Kang Tao hit squad who were sent to retrieve some sort of item he'd stolen from them. It was a brutal fight that ended with Rinko's hand getting blown off by a shotgun blast, but the party eventually won and took off with the clan leader in tow, fleeing the city in their armored van. Things were going fairly well for them, even managed to outdrive the goons that come after them, but they end up with a bit of a hitch once they make it to the border. Night City border guards scan every vehicle before it leaves or enters the city, the party being no exception. And when their vehicle's scanned, the guard in charge informs them they're carrying a wanted fugitive. They rather bluntly offer them passage for a $600 bribe, which is a bit expensive, but not overly so, and this is where everything goes off the rails. Rather than pay, Danny and Rinko, who is driving the van from the back via neural interface, grab the guard and pull him into the van. Rinko using his vampire implants to inject him with a neurotoxin that paralyzes him.
Jesus.
The guard fails the save and winds up completely defenseless. At this point, the other guards notice the commotion and start firing at the crew. And Reaper shoots out his grapple hand to press the button to open the gate and they flee. At this point, I assumed they would hold the guard for ransom. No, instead they decided to torture him for information that he didn't have, and then executing him, with Danny eating his corpse. He is a genetic experiment, after all. I was pretty shocked at this point, but asking out of character, everyone was fine with this turn of events. Flash forward a few sessions later, and they need to get back into the city, but they're wanted fugitives at this point, so they need to find another way. Cue an epic scene where Rinko drives through an old minefield and using a natural land formation to try and ramp over the wall of the city, and failing the last roll by 1 point. They end up crashing and flying through the air like a pinwheel before crashing onto the street and an apartment building. Danny dies and everyone gets pretty hurt. The cops end up showing up and they have a huge firefight, where once again they take the last guy and torture him. It's at this point I inform the players that they have become the villains of this story, and now I'm running a campaign where they're essentially a terrorist group.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Not really a horror story per se, but it completely deleted my intended story since it involved them overturning corrupt Biotechnica's leadership and being hailed as hero edge runners. What do you guys think? I think natural player stupidity came into effect here, but yeah, kudos to the DM for rolling with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also not letting it last too many sessions further.
Yeah, but also if they did actually run a campaign where the former group was the antagonist, that would be a great way to, have the campaign that you want while also not shitting on player choice, because now that they know that their old group is the villains of the new campaign, then that'll give them the incentive to, not do that again.
Yeah.
All in all, I think that's a pretty decent story. It didn't go. Yes, it went off the rails, but also it didn't go too off the rails. I think that next time you should have a session 0 where you outright say that you want them to have a good aligned campaign and to not murder Hobo. Because, did this one have a session 0?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna assume they probably didn't have a session 0 then if one wasn't mentioned. But yeah, that's why when starting a new campaign, you gotta be very clear about what the campaign's gonna be about.
Yeah.
And
or else you get situations where someone thinks another player is completely and totally evil and then refuses to even hang out with them anymore.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that everyone is on board with each other's characters and that there won't be anything that would, keep the campaign from happening.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? I think that's it. I think that's all I got for that story.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you? What do you have to telling me?
This one is called "The Player Who
at
Couldn't
home.
Follow His Own Decisions" by Michel80. It was posted 3 days ago and it's got 300 upvotes. Well, 322. I was rounding.
Nice.
I had a short horror story with my group over the last week that ended last night. Well, not my group, just one player, and he's a good friend. and honestly, a good player. A little quirky. Some of his worst quirks were on display last week. So, here's the story. Last week, I started with a new group and invited one of my long-term players, named Adam, to join. Thank you for using real names.
Hooray!
When the group arrives, I give them the option of what game to play. I presented standards like D&D and Pathfinder, and some indie games, like BESM, I don't know what that is, and Mutants and Masterminds.
BESM?
Yeah.
Hold
Adam
on.
specifically shot down BESM.
Big eyes, small mouth.
Oh, that's the anime one.
Yeah.
I'm with Adam. I'd shoot that down too. I have shot that down. Chalky wanted to run one at one point. He didn't like the freeform character creation system. The rest of the party chose either Pathfinder or D&D, which he said he was good with. So I chose D&D, because I had the books. They had a typo on because.
Rip.
That's because. I then gave the party the choice for level. Adam said he didn't care, and the rest of the group said level 1. I was planning to start with the group already knowing each other and somewhat established adventures, so I gave them level 3. I also figured this would let them start with their subclasses. Still low level like they wanted. We spend the rest of the session making characters. Everyone but Adam, who just can't think of anything, happens. I send him home with a few books so he can make something in between sessions. He calls me Wednesday and says, I want to play a giant. These conversations went on for days, but are cut down for convenience. It's like, dude, you wanted to be low level. I know, so I'll be really stupid. Most giants are pretty stupid. They're high level because of their size and strength. What if I'm blind? And only have one arm on top of being really dumb? So, you're gonna be high level and a drag on the party? Yeah, what makes... would that make me level 3? No, character denied. Can I play Chimera? That's not a playable race. Later that day, how about a kobold that's actually a reincarnation of a dead god, and with their powers and their own followers? Honestly,
Jesus.
a concept I've had for years. This is honestly a concept he had for years. Now level 3. That seems a little powerful. How about he doesn't know he's a god, and that could be the adventure arc for him? No, that doesn't sound fun. Well, that's the best you're gonna get. Then how about I just play kobold? I remind him about kobolds in my world. Their entire race have been twisted and transformed by Tiamat, and are completely subservient. It's one of the horrible things she did. They're more like house elves in Harry Potter than kobolds, we know. And he's known this for 3 years. I don't think I want to play one. Then the day before the game, how about a medium-sized gem dragon? No, those are too powerful. You guys chose low level. You became a gray box because my computer randomly tabbed out.
Wow.
I gotta make sure that. Okay, good.
Don't boxify me.
Yeah. How about a medium-sized silver dragon? The only way that would work is if you were really young, like mentally 7. Okay, that sounds fun. Game day, and I spent the night thinking and deciding to let him know what it would mean. Dude, I will not put a kid in danger. It should be noted that one of my players is a teacher. There will be no questing. The party will be like your babysitter. So what's the difference between that and a kobold? The kobold will be doing chores, and the dragon will be drinking juice boxes and having nap time. Look, every character you propose would have been acceptable in Big Eye Small Mouth, The medium-sized dragon, the chimera, the giant, and even the godly kobold. You said you didn't want to play that. You chose D&D. You guys chose a low-level character. I've had 3 other people make low-level D&D characters because that's what you chose. Please make a Dungeons & Dragons character. And that's where it ends. No resolution.
A rep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take this one with a grain of salt, because it seems, the vibes I get from it seems like one of the ones where, you know, they slightly embellish their own contributions, and the lack of resolution also.
Yeah, just ending it on that kind of
makes me think that there may have been more that they didn't want to share.
Maybe.
Anywho, now player choice is very important. The flip side to that is that if you are a player and make a choice, you have to understand what making that choice means.
Yeah.
So if you want to play a specific system, that means you have to play within the confines of that system. If you want to play a low level,
the confines of D&D, sure, you could play as something that is the reincarnation of a god.
But that's gonna be boring.
Your DM could work with you on that. You're not gonna know it at the beginning.
Yeah,
God, no. You maybe for your backstory you could have like
amnesia,
dreamt visions of grandeur,
yeah,
or something.
If you want to play a god in mortal form, like,
yeah,
you can't know that you're a god from the beginning, or maybe it's played off as like maybe your character is just a little insane and thinks that they're a god when they're not. Like, you know, or go the Thor route where they had all their power stripped.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't be, like, if you're gonna play a character that is the mortal form of a god, then your character arc has to either be A, about getting your power back, or B, learning that you are a god. Like, you can't just be a god walking around. That's not, like, a god showing up is a very big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could work if you wanted to work with the DM, but this person didn't, according to the OP. The way I would do that is I would have them be like a sorcerer with amnesia. You know?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So, you have anything else to say about this?
Not really.
Alright. Your next story?
This one's a bit shorter.
That's good.
Posted 5 days ago by user Relation Shark with 805 upvotes. They crucified a hobgoblin.
Who hasn't crucified a hobgoblin every now and then?
You know what they say. If you want to make an omelet, you gotta crucify a couple hobgoblin.
Yeah.
This was done in one of the earlier games I'd ran. We had done some basic questing and combat, and it was all going pretty good. The tone of the campaign was fairly serious, but we still like to have jokes every now and then. It's not an evil campaign, the party were going to be classic heroes. Up until this point, the most morally questionable thing they had done was just stomping out some drow eggs. I was inexperienced and assumed driders laid eggs to reproduce. I had the party on the road with the cart, heading towards a town. En route, they were stopped by a group of hobgoblins, who weren't immediately doing anything wrong. They questioned the party's intention, asking what their business was in the area. One player assumed they were evil, and so used invisibility to get behind them to cast a damaging spell. A battle ensued and the party won, but they had one alive. After questioning him, he told the party that they had created the checkpoint because of an increase in dangerous activity in the area, thus revealing that the hobgoblins had noble intention. The party didn't seem bothered by this, and one player, the Dragonborn, decided he wanted to leave a warning up. With some of the wood from the hobgoblin's checkpoint, he created a cross and proceeded to literally crucify the hobgoblin. I was dumbstruck, just asking if they were really doing this, then reluctantly describing what happened in response, while half the party laughed about it. In retrospect, it was pretty psychotic. Nothing so demented has happened since. What's the most fucked up thing your party's done? Edit for clarity, this happened like 5 years ago and it isn't an issue anymore.
Yeah, that's a little bit extreme, especially since they were effectively, just watching the roads, making sure no one causes trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck?
I'm giving like a quick scroll through the comments, see if anyone left their own little stories of demented shit.
Yeah. I mean, crucifixion in D&D is a great way to send a warning. I mean, y'all came across a fish person that Mal had incinerated underwater and crucified that one time.
Yeah.
So, it's not like... I mean, it's a good way to show how evil someone is. Especially if it's in a situation where they really, really didn't have to. But players doing it, I mean, if they're running an evil campaign, then that's fine. But, it's one of those things where if a paladin did it, if a quote-unquote lawful good paladin did it, they'd probably become an oathbreaker afterwards. Yeah. But yeah, just a tad too far. Anything else about it?
No, not that I can really think of.
All right. And
I'm not a gal of many words, I think.
That's fair. We really should stop doing this immediately after we wake up.
Yeah, probably. Well, I haven't really gone to sleep yet.
That's fair. Alright, my final story is kick the player for harassing me, and now he's harassing others to get to me. It was posted 4 days ago by Ultimate Cults, and it has 378 upvotes. I never wanted to add this player to my D&D campaign in the first place. I had met him prior, we go to the same school, and he was very rude. In a sense that he wouldn't let anyone speak, and if you ignore him, he will repeat himself louder and louder and louder until you listen to him. The only reason I even let him join was as a favor to the person who got me into D&D. Some important context is that I am a female DM. His first session, the first really big indicator was that him joining was going to be a shit show, was him asking me if he was allowed to change the narrative if he didn't like where the story was going. I told him no.
Wow.
Yeah, his response to this was to argue with me about how he really wanted to change the story for his character's benefit. At this point, he didn't even know the plot of the campaign or even play D&D before. Eventually, I was able to get him back down about it. Through the campaign, he kept cutting me and other members of the party off in order to either tell me that he wanted me to change the story, try to override someone else's turn, or even just say my name repeatedly until I look at him. He was pissing me off, and I wanted to but I wanted to try and make this work. I didn't like how he was behaving, but, for the moment, it was slightly tolerable. And that was session 1.
Ooh.
His second session. This session took place this past Friday. We had a 2-week delay for this session, and I was very excited about what I had planned. I had sat down at the table and started setting up, just a few seconds before he sat down directly next to me. It was just me and him. The first thing he said was, there are a few other girls that I like, but, OP, I have a crush on you. I felt uncomfortable, and
Oh God.
I felt uncomfortable and wanted to let him down easy, so I said, that's sweet. This didn't stop him. He started to ask me to be his girlfriend. I kept telling him no, and this went on for a minute or two. Eventually he figured out I wasn't going to say yes, so the genius started to ask me to be his Valentine. This time, I told him that I don't date younger men, and so that he would hopefully leave me alone. This was when everyone else started to show up, which actually got him to shut up. I felt uncomfortable and pissed off, but I was excited for the session, and he wasn't about to ruin it for me. He behaved exactly like he had in the previous campaign. He cut people off, he asked me to change the story for him, and also intentionally killed another party member who was trapped and refused to accept responsibility for it. I raised my voice more and also became ruder to him as the session and his shenanigans continued. I honestly didn't intend to be a jerk back to him, but I am terrible at hiding when I dislike someone. By the end of the campaign, I had decided that I wasn't going to invite him back. The aftermath / it isn't over.
Oh no.
The weekend goes by, and I think everything is over, and that he won't bother me anymore. I still believe that. I still believed that going into today. Unfortunately, I was wrong. The entire day seemed normal to me until my last class of the day. I got a text from one of the underclassmen that I eat lunch with, saying that he had rumors I was rude to someone during my campaign last week, and she wanted to ask me what happened. I explained to her what actually happened, and her response was telling me that I should give him a second chance because he's new to D&D and didn't mean to be a jerk. I texted back saying that I didn't feel comfortable around him because he won't take no for an answer, and when he was asking me out. At this point, she asked me to skip class in order to come and talk to him in person because he won't leave her alone. I wasn't about to skip class for this, especially seeing as he was trying to get my attention by telling my friends that rumor. Not just one of my friends, but also my teachers. My teachers told me before I went home during one of the lessons that a guy barged in saying that he wanted to talk about D&D. Closing thoughts. I honestly am not sure what I should do from here. I suspect that he has been following me and watching me, and probably how he knew the underclassmen that I knew, and that I had that teacher. I don't want him going around spreading fake rumors about me because I kicked him out of my D&D campaign and rejected him, but also I don't want to comfort him in person about this. He is bigger than me. If anyone has any advice or suggestions, please share them. Thank you for reading. Edit. I posted an update to this in the replies, so thank you so much, blah blah blah. Let's go to those replies.
Whoa.
Yes.
An update.
Yes. Let's see.
Amazing.
Update. Here's the update. He isn't done with me. This has become a way bigger problem than it should have been. I got pulled out of my class by one of my teachers because of this guy. We're gonna call him C now. Go fuck yourself! I lost all respect for this OP because they used letters for names.
Oh well.
Yeah. He started complaining to a teacher because of me rejecting him. kicking him out of the campaign, and apparently I called him an asshole in a text message to the underclassmen who wanted me to meet with him. I didn't mean to call him this, I only meant to say he was acting like an ass. In hindsight, I understand the confusion, and the message was from yesterday when I was explaining to her what happened. The message was, yeah, I get he was being an asshole to everyone in the he was being an asshole to everyone in the group and started off the session by repeatedly asking me out. Now, either way, I was confused and panicked about the fact that I had been pulled out of class. And the teacher who pulled me out of class asked me to know how C had asked me out, and I explained to him what happened. After I tried explaining to him what happened at the campaign, after I tried explaining him what happened at the campaign so he could fully understand the situation that led C to being kicked out of the campaign, teacher said he didn't need to know what C did during the session. Essentially, all the teachers wanted me to tell me was that C had seen all the text messages and they hurt his feelings. And the only good thing that came out of this conversation was that the teacher and I both agreed C shouldn't be around me, especially one-on-one. By the time he let me go, I missed the end of my class. I gathered my stuff and tried to find a place to go cry because I was getting emotional. And I tried so many places, but after about 10 minutes of searching, the only place I found was the classroom of a teacher that I was only somewhat familiar with. She was okay with me coming into her classroom, and she asked me what had happened. And I explained to her everything afterward, and she told me that C had already talked to her, but she was glad that I had told my side of the story. She told me that she would talk to the teacher from earlier this morning about it.
Jesus, this guy is just being an asshole.
Yeah. I went to my next class and everything was fine until class ended and I had to leave for lunch. I was walking down the hall with a close friend, and while we were walking down the hall, he saw me. He made a weird noise and then made a slow-paced run past me towards the opposite direction. I did absolutely nothing to provoke him. I was literally just talking to my friend, and don't know why he did that. The rest of the day went by without any issue, until I was headed to my last class. I ran into one of my close friends, including the girl who was with me when I left for lunch. And they had told me that he had found them in the food court and tried complaining to them about how I was rude. Luckily, they were eating with someone who was in the campaign, and she told him that told him that she didn't want to hear any of it. When I got to my class, I excused myself to go to the guidance. There, I explained everything to the guidance counselor. She offered to talk to the teacher who pulled me out of class earlier this morning to ask him to tell C to leave me alone. I took her up on the offer and headed back to class shortly after. Before I left, she told me that if it continues to bother me or any of my friends, to let her know and she'll call out admins on him. So I'm guessing this takes place in like high school.
Yeah, either like high school or maybe college.
Probably not college. I don't really think, because like teachers can't really pull you out of class to talk about it in college. Teachers do not give a shit. That would be like campus security
true.
that would do that.
True.
But this definitely sounds like a high school drama, which is the juiciest kind of drama.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. Anywho, yeah, this kid's an asshole, and he really needs to get his shit together, or else he's not going to really be going places. First of all, really fucking bad to refuse someone's rejection. Like...
Yeah, oh well.
Yeah, you gotta take no for an answer.
Either take no for an answer or perish.
Yeah. Also, don't fucking lie about people.
Don't lie about people.
Yeah, especially
Tell
then,
the truth about people.
especially when there's several witnesses to the event that you're lying about.
Because you'll never know when you run into one of them.
Yeah, so the moral of this story is don't be afraid to kick someone out of your campaign, and also, yeah, just try. Now, if you know someone is a bit of a problem, don't even invite them into the campaign. Like, I get you were doing it as a favor to a friend, but, like, sometimes you gotta stand your ground.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the stories.
I've got one more.
Oh, you got a third?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's long.
Oh, boy.
Real long.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so we have let me just refresh the page. That's a lot more notes. Points. Upvotes? Upvotes.
Yes.
Here we have posted 18 hours ago and it's already got a gold award.
Oh, jeez.
Posted by user Game of Burners with 491 upvotes at time of reading. That time when the girl who's not like the other girls, I play D&D, met another girl who also played D&D.
I really love the trope of, like, a dozen girls who are all the same being like, I'm not like other girls. And the only thing is, like, they're all goth. Because, you know.
Yeah. So, story begin. This happened in my college's D&D club back in 2013 or 2014. Our college's D&D club is entirely male, one single girl. I know what you're thinking. Oh god, what creepy shit befell this poor girl. Don't worry, nobody in the club was weird towards her. It isn't that kind of story. In fact, she's the problem player. This girl had very huge, I'm not like other girls energy. For example, her characters were always religious nobles, or rebellious noble girls who didn't want to wear dresses and marry. Her usual backstory formula for her characters was abusive father, unwanted betrothal, asshole fiance, running away, learning to fight all on her own in the streets. She would occasionally mention that she hates dresses and never wants to have kids. She only ever wore jeans and t-shirts of heavy metal bands. She had her hair dyed blue and had three nose piercings and 4 ear piercings on each ear. Looking back on it now, she acted like she invented alternative punk fashion.
Oh, gross.
The red flags were there, but we never picked them up because she didn't have another girl in the club to compete with. We shall refer to her from here on out as Arya. Arya? I was playing a game with Arya and 3 other people for a party of 5. We were running a fun little homebrew where our party was a group of royals from various countries, trying to unite all the nations to fight the BBEG who woke up from his ancient slumber. The game was heavily inspired by Game of Thrones because everyone in the club was obsessed with the series. Remember, 2013 to 2014. And this was before the disaster that was Season 8. Arya was playing the youngest princess of the Woodland Kingdom who made a bet with her father that if she defeated the BBEG, she wouldn't have to marry. She played a rogue because it was the most unladylike class for her to play in the narrative story. I was playing the 3rd prince of the Northern Kingdom who was a star druid. The other guy at the table was the paladin crown heir of a dragon. 2 other players had to drop out of the game in Session 7 because their coursework was getting too crazy for them to have a social life. The DM decided to bring in another player who he'd recently met in one of his classes to fill the vacancy. In our 8th session, we were introduced to a princess of the Western Kingdom. she was played by a girl. This was a problem for Arya. We'll call this new player Sansa. Sansa was just as nerdy as everyone in the club and had an obsession with Dungeons and Dragons, or Game of Thrones, just like we did. Because of this, she instantly got along with all of us. Especially when she showed up in blue sundresses with her hair styled like Daenerys Targaryen. She was absolutely obsessed with the fashion of the show and often modeled her look after Daenerys, Cersei, Sansa, or Margaery. Compared to Arya, Sansa was traditionally feminine. While everyone was talking amicably with Sansa, Arya was acting a bit distant. Every time Sansa tried to strike up a conversation with Arya's responses were one or two words at best. This was rather weird and noticeable because Arya was the type to talk your head off for hours. Sometimes we joked around and told her to remember to breathe as she was talking. But when Arya and Sansa talked to each other, it went like this. Did you like the new episode? Yeah. Wasn't it great when Joffrey started choking? I'm gonna save it as my ringtone. Mm-hmm. And you see the thorns in Queen Margaery's wedding dress? I just love the attention to detail they put in this show. Yep. Sansa seemed to be so excited to meet another girl who was into D&D and Game of Thrones, just like her, but Arya just always seemed like she wanted nothing to do with her. In-game, Sansa volunteered to build a life domain cleric to cover the original cleric's departure. She wore a homebrew dress of billowing with plated steel woven throughout it so she can wear dresses, but have it flow away from her feet and legs in combat so that it wouldn't impede in her movement. Basically, she wanted to stay heavily armored while wearing a poofy flowing dress. It was instantly approved. It was instantly approved by the DM.
Hell yeah.
Arya, out of character, questioned the DM on this homebrew, stating that it bent the rules of D&D a little too much, which was a really crazy to take to have at this game's table because we had some really insane homebrew. My Star Druid had a homebrew spell called Star Strike, which was literally Eldritch Blast, but with radiant damage.
I'm down for that.
Fun. I had an owl bear pet that functioned like a ranger's companion, despite me not multiclassing into ranger. It was made out of stardust, and I could fuse with it to become a were-owl bear for 10 minutes with stats equivalent to a challenge rating 4 beast and AC equivalent to heavy plate.
Hell yeah. That sounds like some of the stuff that Chalkfee used to run. That shit was wild.
Yeah. The warlock that used to be in our party had a pact with Primus, who gave him meta magic and points. He had a Modron as his warlock pet, and was summoning Duodrons and Tridons like a circle of shepherd druid. Arya herself had a cape that turned into bat wings as a bonus action and gave her a flight speed of 25 feet. She also had an invisible dagger that allowed her to do sneak attack or surprise attacks without hiding so long as the blade was clean. And we ran old school sneak attack crit rules so her sneak attack damage would be doubled on a crit, making her capable of one-hit killing non-boss enemies.
What do they mean old school? That's still a thing.
I don't know. Maybe they changed it in like whatever edition was out in 2014. And it got changed, and then it got changed in 5. Unless 5e's been around since 20. I think 2014 around then. I think that was 4e.
Yeah, I think the 5e came out in like 2015.
Maybe.
Oh no, 5th edition came out in 2014. So
well, this was given 2013 as a possible timeline.
Okay, so then yeah, they were probably playing 4th edition.
Maybe 4e had different sneak attack rules. I don't know.
Probably 4e's combat was atrocious.
Oh well. Our own paladin had a fucking baby red metallic dragon that he could ride because Targaryen things. Suffice to say, everyone in the party had horrendously busted homebrews. With all of this in the game, the fact that Arya drew the line at the billowing armored dress was rather baffling. DM didn't do anything because Sansa's homebrew dress was the most harmless homebrew in the entire game. This would occur multiple times. Every time Sansa asked for a homebrew that helped catch her up to our power level, Arya would have concerns about how his rules, even though everyone at the table was constantly desecrating rules as written by simply existing. We were all level 8, but our homebrews made us functionally level 12 or higher. We also definitely abused Rule of Cool, outright throwing the book away to do awesome shit. One time Arya threw her Batwing cape to Paladin, who caught it and wore it mid-combat so he could fly alongside his dragon and have an epic final kill on a boss monster.
Hell yeah.
The whole process broke item interaction and attunement rules, but the DM allowed it because the end result would be super epic.
Hell
Whenever a Rule of Cool moment happened to Sansa, Arya suddenly became a rules lawyer. There was a moment where Paladin was going to allow Sansa to ride his dragon so that the two can do some awesome combo attack, but Arya argued a full 20 minutes on how Paladin's dragon wouldn't allow Sansa to ride it, even though Paladin and DM said that she could for Rule of Cool. In fact, the rule that she was arguing over was a homebrew rule that sure as hell didn't exist in Raw.
Yep.
It was little things like this that happened constantly over the campaign. In combat, whenever Sansa would hang back to support us, Arya would make a backhanded comment about her being the best cheerleader ever, insinuating that she wasn't doing anything. Even then, Arya would often have an issue if Sansa attacked, saying she was wasting a turn. It's not like Sansa attacks stupidly. She would set Bless up, make sure everyone wasn't bloodied, mostly use cantrips, and always made sure she had spell slots for multiple revivifies. Smart. One time, Sansa was the only PC left standing after a mind flare downed the rest of us with a surprise fireball that we all failed the save DC on. At first, she used Mass Healing Word to pick us up, but we got downed again by another fireball.
She just started using Cano spell.
Yeah. Sansa saw that she couldn't pick us back up with the Mind Flayer still around. Since the Mind Flayer was bloodied, she fired a higher level Guiding Bolt and killed it to end the encounter. Then she picked us back up with another Healing Word. Now, at this point, this was Sansa's greatest combat feat, and we all cheered for her since she saved our asses. Everyone except Arya. Arya instead pointed out who she thought dealt the most damage and truly contributed to the fight, souring Sansa's moment and everyone else's mood.
What a dick.
After that moment, Sansa started to change. When she first joined, she was rather energetic and excitable. But after the Mind Flayer fight, she became more quiet, roleplayed less, and didn't take as many notes as before. In the beginning, we chose to ignore Arya's behavior, but when it finally clicked to us that Arya was being a bully, and Sansa was too meek to defend herself, we chose to do something about this. I do regret not acting sooner. The tables started to go into a vicious cycle, where Arya would be passive-aggressive towards Sansa, someone would defend Sansa, Arya would get upset and then get a bit meaner the next time. It all crumbled down when Arya killed Sansa's pet lion cub that she was raising with the bullshit reason that it was going to grow up to become deadly and uncontrollable. She argued that she was preventing a future problem. Thankfully, the DM reversed this act after seeing how much it upset Sansa and how needlessly cruel the action was. DM threatened to kick Arya out if she did something like that again. Arya responded with malicious slanders. She started making up rumors about Sansa and other club members' DMs. Now the rest of the story is information I got secondhand from other club members that weren't part of my table. I never saw the messages that Arya put out, but she basically said that Sansa was sleeping with all of us for better rewards. Like, all of us at the same time. Yes, she said we were all gangbanking Sansa like in some porno for in-game D&D rewards. Nobody believed her because Sansa was way too much of a dork, I say that with love, to even instigate flirting. Go on.
Oh no, it's just A wild, wild accusation. I don't even know where to start with that.
I think Arya's just like entire worldview has crumbled and she's reacting. Because there's a girl that is traditionally feminine and also likes D&D, and she's like the other girl?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's almost like
she's
girls.
a bitch.
Yeah. It's almost like there are many girls who like D&D and nerdy things, and the stereotype of them not is outdated and like from the 80s.
Oh well. I think Arya expected everyone in the club to rally up, gather pitchforks, light torches, and kick out the accused harlot to the streets based purely on hearsay. That didn't happen. Instead, the club members told the club president, and the club president took Arya aside and asked, "Yo, what the fuck is your deal? Did Sansa do something to you? Why do you hate her so much?" Apparently, Arya answered him with a slut-shaming tirade against him, saying she was dressing slutty to get the guy's attention, flirting with everyone, pretending to like D&D, and being a fake fan of Game of Thrones. It bothered Arya that us guys couldn't see how fake Sansa was, and she was fucking sick of it.
I'm imagining that Sansa's like wearing like overalls and like a striped crew neck or like a striped shirt with a collar, like the least sexy clothes possible as this is being said.
Well, almost, but not very. This was not true. Sansa's dresses were literally down to her ankle, and she wore a chemise to hide her cleavage that she was constantly pulling up. She gave the vibe she was a bit insecure with herself. She wasn't capable of flirting with anyone because she only ever talked about medieval fantasy dresses or Game of Thrones. She didn't know any other topic of conversation. Anyone who played a game with her can actually tell that she liked D&D, and it was clear that she had played it a shit ton because of her game knowledge. She knew my druid spells better than me. She not only liked Game of Thrones, but she read all the books in a Song of Fire and Ice, the books the TV show was based on, as well as the supplementary lore books by George R.R. Martin, like the Dunk and Egg series, Fire and Blood. For some reason, Arya saw Sansa as some kind of stereotypical preppy blonde girl from some bad Disney Channel movie, and not for the massive dweeb that she actually was.
Jeez.
Word got around to Sansa, and she expressed she was going to quit the club, because she didn't want to be the center of any drama. The club president told her she didn't do anything wrong, and that she didn't have to leave. The club president told Arya to cut this shit out because it was bullying, and nobody in this club of basement-dwelling geeks were big fans of it. Arya rage quit when she realized everyone was taking Sansa's side, and another club member took her spot at her. This whole mess happened years ago, but years later, things got better. I happen to have gotten back in touch with Arya in 2019 after public tirade over Game of Thrones Season 8 on my social media. My post triggered a reunion of the old D&D club members as they all flocked to my page to bitch about the last season. We created a chat room to further air out our grievances with Game of Thrones ending. During this reunion, Arya reunited with Sansa for the first time in years. Get this, Arya actually apologized to her.
Oh, character development.
Arya said that she deeply regrets what she did and cringes heavily over "I'm not like the other girls" phase. She says that whenever she remembers her antics in her life, she convulses with utter shame. She says that she sometimes lays awake at night for hours, wishing she had more social awareness in that time. She said she feels really bad she tried to bully another woman out of an already male-dominated house, and feels awful about pitting two women against each other. Sansa forgave her, shared her own cringy feelings over how she used to walk around in high fantasy clothes all the time, and the both of them had a good life. As they chatted, they found out they both changed careers a year out of college, went back to school, and became nurses.
Hell yeah.
They even practice in the same field of medicine, big medical college, just in different hospitals.
Ha! I guess.
But nobody's. Yeah.
I guess she is like other girls.
Yep. But nobody's surprised they have a lot in common. Shame they missed out on a potentially close friendship earlier. I don't think they hang out in real life, but they're internet friends now. I see them on my feed now and then, complaining about crappy doctors and sharing funny work stories.
Nice. At least it had a happy ending. That's a really good way to end the episode. So
Character development.
Yeah. It boils down to like, don't be an ass to other players, and also
be socially aware.
Yeah. Also, like, really think back about like the actions that got you to any particular location or place in life, and also anyone who doesn't cringe at what they were like in 2014 is a liar or a sociopath. I cringe at what I was like in 2014.
Oh yeah, every now and then I remember.
You remember
it was
what?
It was during a This was back in high school. During a football game, one of the players on the field got injured. I was unaware, and I saw that everything had stopped and people were being quiet. So I asked a friend, "What's going on? Did someone die?"
Oh, jeez.
But like in a joking tone.
Oh,
kind of like a smug joking tone. And they're like, "Dude, someone got hurt." And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, no, I cringe at what I was like in high school as well. There's a lot of cringe to be had.
Plus, I did the cringiest thing of all. I was a brony. Dun dun dun. Spooky sounds.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, I had a Rainbow Dash hoodie that I wore in high school, freshman year.
I had
No,
two
not
20% cooler shirts.
It may have been freshman year. When did it come out in 2010 or 2011?
The first season started October 2010.
Okay, then yeah, it was freshman year.
I didn't get into it until the start. I didn't get into it until like the summer between season 1 and 2.
Yeah, I had a hoodie that I wore at one point, and I cringe at that. But also, it's like cringe in a nostalgic way.
Here's the thing. I got into My Little Pony before I got in Homestuck.
I mean, so did I. I didn't get.
It was within months of each other, but still.
No, I got into Homestuck after it had ended. Anywho,
I got into Homestuck like I had gotten caught up when I was caught up when 11/11/11 happened.
I tried
and,
reading
the beta kids started.
Yeah, I tried reading I tried reading Homestuck back in 2012 before Cascade. Cascade.
Uh-huh.
That was 10/25 2012, right? Anywho, I tried reading it before Cascade came out, and I was like, oh man, that's a lot. Yeah, no. And I didn't read it until a month after it ended in 2016. When it was, like 4 times as long.
Yeah.
Anywho, that's been the Posscast. We had a lot of cringe, including mentioning some of our own cringe back in high school.
Yeah. Like I said, I did own two different 20% cooler shirts.
I only had the one.
And a TARDIS shirt that I got from Hot Topic, but I didn't know it was a baby doll tee until I got home.
Back when I had Facebook.
Oh, this is too small.
Back when I had a Facebook, my Facebook profile pic was me wearing a 20% cooler shirt while holding a sword.
Oh God, you had
I didn't have a sword.
I had
My
a
mom
kendo
had
stick.
My mom had a sword, like an actual sword. Well, it was a replica sword, but she had this replica sword, and I took a picture of me wearing the shirt, using the sword. I am still very lanky, very thin. So, yeah, no, I was the stereotypical cringy freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's might still be what my profile picture is, because I only had a Facebook for like 2 months before I stopped using it, because I just didn't see why.
I had a wooden kendo stick.
Of course you did. Anywho, comment challenge of the day.
Which is basically a wooden katana.
Yeah, I know.
I would take it outside and whack, like, you know those weeds that have the thick stems?
Yeah.
I will go outside and whack them with it.
All right. So, thank you everybody for watching. There's plenty of other stuff on the channel. Biddy is playing
Minish Cap.
Yep.
Is this coming out?
The last episode we did some side quests and spent the rest of the time playing Gashapon, or until we ran out of the shells.
Yeah.
There is also on the channel. I'm playing Hollow Knight. My boyfriend Scraps is playing Bug Fables, and we have Tabletop Thursdays where we play Tabletop Simulator every Thursday.
Yeah. Watch us play Lockstone Labyrinth.
Yes.
We're the only people on the internet, on YouTube, that have any video.
Yep. So, comment challenge of the day. What do you think about, what makes you cringe about your high school career? Well, we already said ours.
Yeah. I'm not ashamed of this. This is not cringe.
You can be cringy without feeling shame.
Yeah, but it wasn't cringe because it was cool.
Okay.
Okay, so I was in marching band, which means during the football games every Friday night, I would be sitting in the stands, and the drum line had this one beat that they would play every now and then. And when they did it, I would start doing this dumb little dance where I had like my hands like my fists up, and I would like pump them and like kind of have my, you know, kind of like be shaped kind of like an H.
Okay.
With my arms and legs, you know, like at my arms and my legs at right angle.
Okay.
And I would just like jump back and forth to the beat.
That sounds really dumb. I love it.
It caught on.
Oh, jeez.
I know that after I graduated, some of the kids still did it.
Oh, that's peak cringe. I love it. All right, well, with that out of the way, there's nothing left to say. But good night, everybody.
Bye.